Hello, and welcome to Fricker's Fireside Wanderings, Part 2. We're going to be looking at more Men and Magic from Dungeons and Dragons, White Box, 1974. The date is the 4th of April, 2020, and we're in the middle of the coronavirus hibernation period. And last time, we got up to the point where we were talking about charisma and its effect on hiring hirelings. All right, so the next section is bonuses and penalties to advancement due to abilities, which seems a little strange to me. So what it essentially is we have prime requisite, strength, constitution, and so on, and each class has a different prime requisite. Now, if your prime requisite is high, then you gain extra experience. Now, there's a table for this at the bottom of the page, which I hope you can perceive. Now, so for example, if your prime requisite is 15 or more, you add 10% to the earned experience. If your prime requisite is 13 or 14, you add 5%. Well, it sounds fine in theory, but so I'm the GM and you get into an encounter, and at the end of it, I say, okay, you've got like 75 experience. Oh, well, my prime requisite is 13, so I gain 5%. So hold on, what's 5% of 75? I mean, I can work it out, but it's a bit cumbersome, isn't it? And also maths. I mean, I can do maths, but in my games, I know there are people that are really good at maths and people who not so much. And I think the more you can keep that to a minimum, the better. But I mean, I can see a lot of rules come from a place of loving maths. And when it comes down to like adding 5% to earned experience, also it's quite an insignificant amount. And also, the better you are at something, so if you've got a high prime requisite, you're probably going to be doing better anyway. So it's like, well, why reward that even more? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the motivation is. And also down here, we have things like Constitution 15 or more, add +1 to each hit die. Okay, I can see that. You've got a high constitution, so you're starting off with more hit points, right? But then constitution 13 or 14 will withstand adversity. I'm not sure what that means. Constitution 9 to 12, you've got a 60 to 90% chance of survival. I'm not sure we've established survival of what yet, and in Constitution 8 or 7, a 40 to 50% chance of survival. So, yeah, some of these things, I don't know. Let's leave that table. Probably best. Over the page, we come to languages. Languages, the common tongue in inverted commas, spoken throughout the continent in inverted commas, because we talked about setting last time, and continent and setting and languages, quite important in setting, is known by most humans. All other languages and monsters which can speak have their own language, although some, in brackets 20%, also know the common one. Law, chaos, and neutrality also have common languages spoken by each respectively. One can attempt to communicate through the common tongue, language particular to a culture class, or one of the divisional languages, law, etc. While not understanding the language, creatures who speak a divisional tongue will recognize a hostile one and attack. So, right. So it's if they're on the other side, they're speaking the wrong lingo, they need stabbing. Apparently, that's the message. Not one for cultural exchange here. Characters with an intelligence above 10 may learn additional languages, one language for every point above 10 intelligence factors. Well, that's simple. I like that. One language for every point above 10. Thus, a man with an intelligence of 15 could speak 7 languages. 7, you say? Ah, so that's the common tongue, his divisional tongue, and 5 creature languages. Of course, magic uses spells, and some magic items will enable the speaking and understanding of languages. Okay. Then we come to non-player characters. In all probability, the referee will find it beneficial to allow participants in the campaign to hire into service one or more characters. At times, this may be nothing more than a band of mercenaries hired to participate and share in the profits from some adventurer. However, it is likely that players will be deviant. Oh, not devious, that was a Freudian slip. However, it is likely that players will be desirous of acquiring a regular entourage of various types of characters, monsters, and an army of some form. An army? Okay. Non-player characters can be hired as follows. Only the lowest level of character types can be hired. The player wishing to hire a non-player character advertises by posting notices at inns and taverns, frequents public places seeking the desired hireling, or sends messages to whatever place the desired character type would be found. Elfland, Dwarfland, etc., because that's what they're called. This costs money and takes time, and the referee must determine expenditures. Does the referee just make those up? I don't know. Once some response has been obtained, the player must make an offer to tempt the desired character type into his service. As a rule of thumb, good, I like rules of thumb, a minimum offer of 100 gold pieces would be required to tempt a human into service. Dwarves are more interested in gold. Oh, yes. Magic users and elves desire magical items, and clerics want some reassurance of having a place of worship in which to house themselves. Monsters can be lured into service if they are of the same basic alignment as the player character, or they can be charmed and thus ordered to serve. Note, however, that the term monster includes men found in the dungeons. So, in this way, some high level characters can be brought into the character's service, charisma allowing, or through a charm spell. Some reward must be offered to a monster in order to induce it into service, not just sparing its life, for example. The monster will react with appropriate pluses or minuses according to the offer, the referee rolling 2 six-sided dice and adjusting for charisma. All right, then we get a short table. So we get 2d6, so a roll of 2 to 12, and the reactions range from a roll of 2, attempts to attack, through hostile reaction to uncertain to accepts offer, to a roll of 12, where it's an enthusiastic acceptance, loyalty +3. An uncertain reaction, that's a roll of 6 to 8, leaves the door open to additional reward offers, but scores of 6 do not. All right. So just taking a quick glance at the comments here. Ralph, I don't know anybody who regularly hired henchmen. Yeah, it is a big part of the rules, and seems like common in the text when you read it, but it's like a weird thing, isn't it? Because you're playing your character. Do you want to play through proxies? Do you want to play through, having a bunch of other characters that you just sort of throw in and you stand back, or you're in the fight and you're using several other characters? That's a lot of stuff to manage, isn't it? You end up like managing your own little sub party with each person. The closest thing I can think of that I've played to this would be in Ars Magica, where I've had each player's had their own magus, and they've perhaps picked up a few what we call grogs, like basic fighters, and we'd just have those individually on an index card. And if there was, some combat, each player would pick up like one or two grogs, and they'd be defending the magi, and we'd kind of run it like that. But I guess that worked well because the grogs, the basic fighters, were on just index cards, so it was very kind of light rules. But this game has got relatively light rules, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not aware of many people using that. But I guess, I mean, I can only guess that Gary Gygax used that, or did he write it in the rules but not use it? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's continue. Page 13. Capture of non-player monsters. I love this stuff about, I can envisage having like other regular races that people would play as hirelings, but having monsters, that's something else. All right. Capture of non-player monsters. Morale dice can cause a man or intelligent monster to attempt to surrender or become subdued. When this happens, an offer of service can be made, assuming communication is possible, as outlined above. Subdued monsters will obey for a time without need to check their reactions, and such monsters are saleable. All right. See volume 2. Well, we got that to look forward to. Loyalty of non-player characters, including monsters. Men, dwarves, and elves will serve as retainers with relative loyalty as long as they receive their pay regularly, are treated fairly, are not continually exposed to extra hazardous duty, and receive bonuses when they are taking part in some dangerous adventure. Okay, yep. Judgment of this matter is perforce subjective on the part of the campaign referee, but there is a simple guideline. When one or more such characters are taken into service, a loyalty check is made by rolling 3 six-sided dice. Adjustments are made for charisma and initial payments for service, and the loyalty of the character is noted by the referee. The player will not have any knowledge of what this is without some method of reading minds. So we get a loyalty score. It's kind of 3 to 18 and 19 and above because of modifiers, and a morale reading. So on a very low score, we'll desert at the first opportunity through modifiers to morale, starting at -2, -1, going up to +2, and then 19 and above, never need to check for morale again. Totally dedicated. Fantastic. Non-player characters and men-at-arms will have to make morale checks using the above reaction table or chainmail. Again, with the chainmail. So chainmail was another supplement that preceded this, another set of rules rather than supplement. And D&D was kind of used that as a basis initially. Yep. So need to refer to that whenever a highly dangerous or unnerving situation arises. Poor morale will mean that those in question will not perform as expected. Periodic rechecks of loyalty should be made. Length of service, rewards, etc. will bring additional pluses. Poor treatment will bring minuses. So a lot of subjective stuff going on here for the GM to decide, well, were they treated poorly? What kind of rewards were given? I feel there's a lot of a lot of it's left up to personal decision. Fair enough. Oh, here's an interesting one. Relatives. Yes, you can bring your gran. The referee may allow players to designate one relative of his character to inherit his possessions if for any reason the participant unexpectedly disappears, with or without death being positively established. It's very, for a period of 1 game month, let us say. Quite a conversational tone. At this time, the relative would inherit the estate of the character, paying a 10% tax on all goods and monies. The relative must start at the lowest level of the class he opts for, but he will have the advantage of the inheritance. So basically, just a way of passing on your stuff that you've acquired to your next character, so you're not just losing it all. If the character returns, wow, he takes possession of his estate once more. Referee's option as to willingness of the relative to give it up, but must pay an additional 10% tax in order to regain his own. I want to know where are all these taxes going, right? Optionally, the relative may be allowed to stay on as a non-player character in the service of the player character. Loyalty of the relative in such a circumstance would be at a penalty of 0 to -6, and he would possibly intrigue to regain control. Characters without a relative will lose all their possessions should they disappear and not return before whatever period is designated as establishing death. That's a lot of, I don't know, it went to a lot of effort there to establish some way of continuing the character. I guess a lot of characters die in the dungeon and you don't want to just penalize the player. I don't really get it. I mean, and all this tax and so on. I mean, is that there in more recent editions? I think that's mostly been scrapped, right? Let me have a sip of water. No, I can't have a sip of water. Yes, I can. Yes, Michael, we are doing tax returns. Get them done. Basic equipment and costs. It will be necessary for players to equip their characters with basic items of equipment. Yep. Selection of items is strictly up to the players, and gold pieces are taken away accordingly. The players may sell to one another, of course, and then gold pieces would be transferred. Okay. And then we have quite an extensive price list covering one side of text. The cost, very simply, gold pieces. I mean, it may be that we come across other forms of coinage, but at the moment, just gold. Keeps it simple. Kind of like that. That's good. So we got weapons, daggers, morning stars, flails, halberds, all the standards, quivers, quarrels, silver-tipped arrow, mule. What else have we got? Anything? Merchant ship, large merchant ship. So we go from like the cost of a dagger to a large merchant ship. Large merchant ship, 20,000 gold pieces. Most expensive thing on the list, large galley. And then in the next column, we've got armor, leather, chain, plate. There you go, 3 kinds. All the kinds of armor. Also barding for horses. What else do we have? Iron spikes, of course, sacks, oil, wooden cross, silver cross, steel mirror, silver mirror, holy water. That's interesting. And this, again, I guess this kind of comes into the setting here, or telling us about the setting, is the equipment that's available. And, we can glean quite a lot from this, that in the equipment list, we've got things like mirrors, crosses, holy water, wolfsbane, belladonna, garlic, the making of a good meal, but also, kind of the stuff we'd use to fend off vampires or Medusa or, various things like that. Iron rations for dungeon expeditions, 1 person per week. Other items costs may be calculated by comparing similar items listed above. Yeah. All right. So don't overdo the equipment list. Didn't go crazy on it, just like a range of stuff. Oh, what's this? Encumbrance, although I'm not sure. Oh, yes, we do use the word encumbrance. Weight which may be carried. Weight of a man. 1,750 gold pieces. So, yeah, I guess, is 10 gold pieces a pound? Is that established somewhere? That would be about, give or take. Oh, and then we have loading gold pieces equal to light foot movement, 12 inches. Now, as a non-war gamer, I'm coming to this and like 12 inches, 9 inches, 6 inches. What's going on here? So it's very much, angled at your war gamer on the table with your ruler, measuring out the amount of distance. So I believe, because I am a non-war gamer, but so this kind of inch movement stuff was a little confusing back in the day, and probably today. And then it's got the weights of various other equipment. Example, employing encumbrance. A character equips himself with the following: list of arms and armament, and a total weight of 1,200. The character would move at the speed of an armored footman, 6 inches per turn. He could pick up an additional 300 gold pieces weight of treasure and incur no movement penalty. Weight over 1,500 would incur the penalty of half speed noted above, although equipment could be discarded in order to avoid this penalty. And then we get weights and equivalents. Now we do get different types of coinage. 1 coin, in brackets copper, silver, or gold. They weigh 1. Potion of wine, potion or wine skin, 30. A gem, 1. Staff with case, 300, and so on. Oh, we've got another picture coming up. A barbarian, no less. I know we love the pictures. Let me just take a look at the comments here. Yeah, whoever bought Belladonna, I don't know. All right, so something items. I seem to have almost. I think my printer didn't like this bit. Something. Okay, let's not worry about that. No. So this is some different levels of experience for different characters. So we talked before about how different characters have different names for the various levels, which I love this. So fighting, we've only got 3 classes. 3. Fighting men, magic users, clerics. And fighting men start at veteran, which seems kind of weird. Veteran to me implies somebody of experience. And at 2,000 XP, they progress to warrior, then swordsman, hero, which is the highest level for an elf, swashbuckler, myrmidon, which is the highest level for a dwarf, then champion, then superhero, then lord. At 240,000 XP. Magic users progress a bit slower. They're going to take an extra 500 XP to get up to first level, which is seer. They start at medium, as in a medium. Then they progress through conjurer, theurgist, thaumaturgist, magician, enchanter, warlock, highest level for an elf, sorcerer, necromancer, wizard. Most of these are now like their own class, not just the level of magic user. Clerics start at acolyte. Well, seems like the right word. And then we get adept. Oh, they progress quicker. I mean, they progress pretty fast. So you can be an adept at only 1,500 XP. Then they progress to village priest, vicar, only 6,000 XP to become a vicar. Curate, bishop, lama, patriarch. It seems like you kind of progress through different religions there, but okay, and you end up as the patriarch. Um, yeah, all right. I don't know what else to say about that, but I know you all want to see the barbarian. Brace yourselves. There he is. Yeah, his sword's so long it won't fit on the page. Look at that. Loving the hair, loving it. In fact, I mean, it may just be a thing of foreshortening, but it looks like the sword wouldn't actually fit in the scabbard either. But, you know, never mind that. He's got his shirt off. He's a barbarian. Clerical advancement is exponential. Is it? Not if I understand what exponential means. Because it goes 1,500, 3,000, 6,000. Oh, okay. It is doubling every time. So is that what exponential means? Showing my ignorance here. All right, now statistics regarding classes. We're getting into lots of charts and wonderful stuff here. So we've got our various names for the different levels. And let's just start with fighting men. So it dictates the dice for accumulative hits, not hit points, accumulative hits. We kind of, in this edition, I guess we're still establishing terminology. So a veteran starts on 1+1. A warrior gets 2 hit. Well, I won't say hit dice because they're dice for cumulative hits. All the way up to a lord. Oh, and lord can be 9+3, but then you get a lord at 10th level as well. They ran out of words there, so you just go lord, then lord 10th level, and so on. Same with wizard. So you hit wizard, and then you get wizard 12th level, 13th level, 14th, up to wizard 16th level. But they don't get that much more in hit points. Only like, so your wizard at 11th level, the first level of wizard, 8+1. So 8 dice plus 1. Okay, and then what's this? So we also get fighting capability. All right, so a veteran, your first level of fighter, the fighting capability is man +1. Second level fighter, the warrior, fighting capability, 2 men +1. I don't really know what this means. Spells and level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the fighting men, nil. Zilch. No spells for you. On to magic users. We see that kind of progression of the 1 and then the 2 and then the 3, 1, the 4, 2. If you're familiar with spell charts, you're going to know what I'm talking about, I hope. Of that kind of level by level, the number first level spells getting bigger and then introducing second levels and then introducing thirds. So you get that kind of tiered progression. All the way up to 16th level wizard, where you get 5. Interestingly, you get 5 at every level from 1 to 6. So apparently they just got up to 6 level spells, I guess. And you start off with 1 first level spell as a medium, as a first level magic user. Over the page, much the same for clerics. Starting off as an acolyte, you fight as a man, which, okay, so you're not quite as good as a first level fighter because they're man +1. Don't quite know what man +1 means yet, but man +1. Whereas a cleric, first level, just man and no spells. Don't get a spell till second level. All right. And so looking at the cleric's fighting ability, starts at man, then he's man +1, then 2 men, 3 men, 4 men and a dog spot. And then after a little while, you go on to hero -1, hero +1, and superhero -1. So it's all based on those terms. Experience points. Experience points are awarded to players by the referee with appropriate bonuses or penalties for the prime requisite scores, where we started today with those prime requisites. As characters meet monsters in Mortal Kombat and defeat them, so we're being told quite a lot about what we do in the game there. And when they obtain various forms of treasure, in brackets, money, gems, jewelry, magic items, etc., they gain experience. This adds to their experience point total, gradually moving them upward through the levels. Gains in experience points will be relative. Thus, an 8th level magic user operating on the 5th level of the dungeon would be awarded 5/8 experience. Let us assume that he gathers 7,000 gold pieces by defeating a troll. Well, he ain't going to carry all them, as we've established, is he? I don't think. Maybe. Which is a 7th level monster, as it has over 6 hit dice. Had the monster been only a 5th level one, experience would be awarded on a 5/8 basis, as already stated. As the monster guarding the treasure was a 7th level one, experience would be awarded on a 7/8 basis. Thus, 7,000 gold pieces plus 700 for killing the troll. 7,700 divided by 8 equals 962.5 times 7 equals 6,037.5. Pretty obvious, really, isn't it? Experience points are never awarded above a 1-for-1 basis. So even if a character defeats a higher level monster, he will not receive experience points above the total of treasure combined with the monster's kill value. It is also recommended that no more experience points be awarded for any single adventure than will suffice to move the character upwards 1 level. Thus, a veteran, 1st level fighter, gains what would ordinarily be 5,000 experience points. However, as this would move him upward 2 levels, the referee should award only sufficient points to bring him up to warrior, 2nd level, say 3,999, if the character began with 0 experience points. Oh, okay. So you can take him up to 1 XP short of the next level. So you don't just take him up to enough for 1st level, you're taking him up to 1 short of 2nd level. I'm glad they explained that in the example. Yeah, Michael, my brain hurts too. A lot of maths. And remember, not only are you figuring out like 7/8 of what the troll plus his kill value was, you're then adjusting that by maybe 5 or 10% or 20%, depending on the what's it called, the primary stat for the character. I mean, actually, as I recall, we didn't even have calculators in 1974, did we? I remember my dad bringing one home, probably the late 80s, with those little like red, was it LED displays? Is it LCD? LCD, I think. The little red displays that would light up with the 8 characters, and it was like, not quite the size of a house brick, but like the size of a novel. But that was like late 80s, but it was Buckingham, so maybe other places had them a bit earlier. So you were doing all this maths on paper, I guess. There's the fun. Levels. There is no theoretical level to how high a character may progress. Oh, i.e., a 20th level lord, 20th level wizard, etc. Distinct names have only been included for base levels, but this does not influence progression. I think what influenced that choice of names was just running out of names, wasn't it? How many names can you have? Yeah, but obviously the idea that you can carry on amassing XP, and so on. Although we don't actually get how much XP you need to become a 20th level character, do we? And also, they're referred to by name more clearly than they're referred to by level, which is interesting. Yeah, looking at the how much XP you need for the various levels, you don't actually have level numbers written on there. Obviously, you can figure them out, but they're just written down by the name of the level, like Enchanter or Warlock. Dice for accumulative hits, in brackets hit dice. Here we go. This indicates the number of dice which are rolled in order to determine how many hit points a character can take. Pluses are merely the number of pips to add to the total of all dice rolled, not to each dice. Thus, a superhero gets 8 dice plus 2. They rolled the score 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that totals 26 plus 2 would be 28. 28 being the number of points of damage the character could sustain before death. Whether sustaining accumulative hits will otherwise affect a character is left to the discretion of the referee. So there's the old quandary, like, well, you're down to like 1 hit point, 2 hit points, you've taken 10 hit points damage. Does that have any effect? Well, on the whole, no, not really. But it is left to the discretion of the referee. I kind of can't help feeling that those GMs, Gary Gygax and so on, Dave Arneson, were using these rules in quite an improvised kind of way, and they'd use their own discretion and judgment to make a lot of rule calls, and they're just passing that on to other people, which is, fair enough. Fighting capability. This is a key to use in conjunction with the chainmail fantasy rules, as modified in various places herein. An alternative system will be given later for those who prefer a different method. Sure will. Yes, Michael. As we mentioned last time, don't forget they had up to 50 players. I'm still not sure about that. Can you imagine 50 players and they've got hirelings? How long would it take to play one combat round? And also, how many adversaries would you have to have? Spells and levels. The number above each column is the spell level, complexity, a somewhat subjective determination on the part of your authors. The number in each column opposite each applicable character indicates the number of spells of each level that can be used. Remember, during any single adventure, by that character, spells are listed and explained later. A spell used once may not be reused in the same day. Okay, so we get a bit of that, what we might term Vancian magic coming in. So you learn the spell, and once you've used it, gone. Levels above those listed. Progressions of dice for accumulative hits, fighting capability, and spells and levels may not be evident. An 11th level Lord would get 10 plus 3 dice and fight as he did at the 10th level, but at 12th level, he could get 11 plus 1 dice and fight at superhero plus 2. And then it keeps giving progressive levels and progressive numbers. I'm not going to read all those out, I don't think. Yeah, okay. I mean, okay, actually, you know what? I'll read a bit more of this out and just see if it makes if it comes across. An 11th level patriarch would get hit dice of 7 plus 3 with fighting capability unchanged. At 12th level, dice would be 8+1 with no change in fighting. And at 13th level, the Patriarch would get 8+2 and fight as a superhero. The next change in fighting capability coming at the 17th level. I think basically you can look at the chart and kind of think, well, if it would carry on, if I were to keep playing and the characters get higher and higher level, the kind of progression we see would be like that in the chart, and you'd just carry that on yourself. So they could have just produced a longer chart, but instead they choose to put a paragraph of dense text explaining how to do that yourself. And again, the same for magic users progressing 17th level and so on. So it's really, they're implying there's no limit to where this can go to. Oh, and then we get alternative combat system. The system is based upon the defensive and offensive capabilities of the combatants. Such things as speed, ferocity, and weaponry of the monster attacking are subsumed in the matrices. There are two charts, one for men versus men or monsters, and one for monsters, including kobolds, goblins, orcs, etc., versus men. So one for men attacking and one for monsters attacking. And then we get, yes, here we get the combat chart. So this is headed men attacking, attack matrix 1, men attacking. And we get the various levels, and levels are divided into steps of 3. So we get armor class down the side. Armor class, interestingly, goes from 2, which is plate armor and shield. That's like the best. Just to 3 for plate armor. So obviously shield gives you +1, all the way down to no armor and shield. What armor class is that? Yes. Anybody? What armor class is no armor or shield? In the comments. There's no prizes, but you can have a guess. No, nobody's going to brave it. Well, it's 9. 9. We've got 1, 10, 0. No. The armor class of no armor and shield is 9. Could be anything, couldn't it? Because there are 3 types of armor and shield. So armor, no armor, no shield starts at 9. And then you got to have a shield that takes it up 1 to 8. Up one more step, you got leather armor, 7. Then you got leather armor plus shield, 6. Then you go on to chainmail, 5. Chainmail plus shield, 4. Plate armor, 3. Plate armor plus shield, 2. So it's fairly straightforward progression. You got those 3 types of armor. Pretty straightforward, you know, can't fault that. And just making sense of this chart. So somebody wanting to fight somebody with armor class 9, no armor, no shield. If they are of level 1, they need a 10 to hit. So you've got that kind of around kind of 50-50 chance of hitting them, which, you know, probably a good basis to start from. Whereas if you were trying to hit somebody with plate armor and shield, you need a 17. Okay. All attacks which score hits do 1 to 6 points of damage unless otherwise stated. Right. So the 20-sided die score to hit by level. So fighters go up. Fighting men go up from level. The first step is from level 1 to 3, and then 4 to 6. Let me just show you this chart. So I've written in above it. So you can see that for fighting men of level 1 to 3, and then 4 to 6, whereas for magic users, it goes up in steps of 5. So 1 to 5, 6 to 10. Clerics, 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and so on. So it becomes... So fighting men progress more quickly on that chart, basically. But curiously, I haven't written the others. I had to write them myself. And then we get monsters attacking, attack matrix 2. Much the same kind of thing, but rather than determining the charts by character level, obviously we don't have character level for monsters. What we have is hit dice. 20-sided score to hit by monsters hit dice number. So we get, again, a similar table like this. All base scores to hit will be modified by magic armor and weaponry. Missile hits will be scored by using the above tables at long range and decreasing armor class by 1 medium and 2 at short. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, okay. So at long range you use the thing by default. At short range you take 2 off the armor class. Although a little confusion of terminology here. You're decreasing armor class. Oh, yeah. No, you're decreasing armor class. But does that actually mean you're increasing armor class? Because the armor class, the better the armor, the lower the armor number. So if you were shooting somebody with armor class 5 at medium range, you would treat it as armor class 6, I'm assuming. And at short range, you'd treat it as armor class 7. That surprises me. Seems a little added complexity. I'd like to see why they suggest that. Yeah, so 9 becomes 11 at close range, which takes you off the chart. Hadn't considered that, but you're right. Not sure what to do about that. Now we get, so I mean, all that, I mean, that seems fine. Now we get saving throw matrix. And we get various different classes. There's only 3, so that's good, at various different levels. And we get a value for various things that can happen to your character, various wonderful things where you might have to make saving throws. And again, yet again, this speaks to setting, I think, quite powerfully. So the first column is death ray or poison. Death ray. Next column, all ones, including polymorph or paralyzation. Third column, stone. Fourth column, dragon breath. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. Dragon breath. That makes sense. And the next column, staves and spells. Okay, well, all that sounds good, but a saving throw versus death ray, liking that. Failure to make the total indicated above indicates in the weapon having full effect, i.e., you are turned to stone, take full damage from the dragon's breath, etc. Scoring the total indicated or scoring higher means the weapon has no effect. Death ray, polymorph, paralyzation, stone, or spell. Not sure why they put those brackets. Or 1/2. Oh, I see. Or 1/2 effect, poison, scoring 1/2 of the total possible hit damage, and dragon's breath, scoring 1/2 of its full damage. Wands of cold, fireballs, lightning, etc., and staves are treated as indicated, but saving throws being made result in 1/2 damage. So just share another wonderful chart there with all your characters at different levels and the values they need to roll. So, I mean, if you get hit by these things, it's not an amount. Some of these is not an amount of damage. You just turn to stone. You're just, insta killed by death ray. I'm not sure when what has a death ray. I'm not sure. We will find out. Perhaps. Let's a quick look at the comments. Yeah, the use of the term matrix instead of table is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, it's not a word I would use, matrix. I kind of want to Google what matrix actually is defined as now. I mean, I kind of get what it means, but in literal terms, I'm not sure of the precise definition or why they use that. Spells table. This is, this is wonderful, I think. A list of different spell names. I don't necessarily want descriptions. I just want the names. Marvelous. So magic users. We get a page of spells for magic users and just half a page for clerics. Again, kind of seems fair. So there are 8 first level magic user spells. Interestingly, there are fewer first level spells than any other level. The level with the most spells is level 3 and level 5. And then the other ones kind of have a random number of them. So at first level, we get Detect Magic, Hold Portal, Read Magic, Read Languages, Protection stroke Evil, Protection from Evil, I think that means. Light, Charm Person, Sleep. So quite a lot of utility spells, reading languages, reading magic, and so on. I won't go through all of these, just a few familiar phrases. I mean, Detect Invisible, Wizard Lock, Knock. Let's see, Hold Person, that's in there. Lightning Bolt, Fireball, obviously. Infravision, Polymorph, Polymorph Self, Polymorph Others. Wall of Fire, Wall of Ice. Charm Monster. Teleport. Conjure Elemental, sounds good. Feeble Mind, Growth of Animals. At 6th level, let's just have a quick look at the 6th level. Stoned Flesh, Reincarnation, Invisible Stalker, Lower Water. Lower Water. Is that a 6th level spell? I mean, I guess it depends how much water you're lowering. Anti-Magic Shell, Death Spell, Geas. Disintegrate, Move Earth, Control Weather. Okay, so I mean, there's an interesting bunch of spells there, but we don't really have some of the evocative spell names in there yet. Turning over, we get the spell table for clerics. First level, here's one we know and love. Cure Light Wounds. Purify food and water, detect magic, detect evil, light, and so on. Let's just have a quick flick through these. Continual light, cure disease, cure serious wounds, turn sticks to snakes. Who doesn't want to do that? Cure, speak with plants. And then their top level, 5th level, dispel evil, raise dead, commune, quest, insect plague. Insect plague. I suppose we go in like locusts, a plague of locusts there from biblical reference there. And create food again, manna from heaven or whatever. So yeah, so that's your spells. Let me just see what's coming up here. Yeah, let's just look at this, just finish this page. So clerics versus undead monsters. Oh, what's going on here? Apparently, well, I've made a note myself here, but let's see what the text actually says. We have a range of monsters. So we configure that undead monsters, skeletons, zombies, ghouls, wights, wraiths, mummies, specters, vampires. Okay, so all your things that are going to be standard to readers. I think everybody's going to know what they are from fiction and so on. And then you've got your levels of cleric above the top. And then we read down and we either get a number, we get an N, a T, or a D. So T means turned away, up to 2 dice in number. So you can turn a bunch of these monsters. This is turning undead. Although it's not called turn undead. It's turning away. D, dispelled or dissolved, up to 2 dice in number. I like the way that I like the idea of dissolving some zombies, but I guess that's really implied with wraiths and. Oh no, it's not. Doesn't have ghosts on there. Has wraiths though. N, no effect. A full explanation of each spell follows. Note that underlined clerical spells are reversed by evil clerics. Also, note the clerics versus undead monsters table, indicating the strong effect of the various clerical levels upon the undead. However, evil clerics do not have this effect, the entire effect being lost. I'm not sure what. So that's a bit of a downer for evil clerics, isn't it? Because they don't get to turn undead. I mean, later on, maybe they'll get stuff, but right now, all I'm seeing is like, well, I don't get to turn away these nasty monsters. Maybe I'll get to make friends with them. That'd be good. So our next page, next time, friends, we're going to be looking at the explanation of some spells. We get quite a lot of those. So something to look forward to. Not so many pictures today, but just the barbarian. So I'll carry on doing this each week if people are interested. If you're enjoying it, then please let me know, because I don't want to just talk to myself. But I enjoy reading your comments and sitting in my armchair by my fireside and reading White Box D&D. So until next time, everybody, cheerio.